All right. Welcome to our February NAL ED Talking Circle. Thank you all for joining us today. And as we get started, we'll go ahead and get everybody disclaimed. This presentation was produced under U.S. Department of Education contract number GS00F115CA with Synergy Enterprises, Inc. The views expressed herein do not necessarily represent the positions or policies of the U.S. Department of Education. No official endorsement by the U.S. Department of Education of any product, commodity, service, or enterprise mentioned herein is intended or should be inferred. All right. Well, today we're going to spend a little bit of time just kind of getting to know one another and building this new community of the new grantees and the old grantees for NAL ED. We have a few fiscal and reporting reminders, and then we'll also spend some time discussing a few things, giving an opportunity for some brainstorming, as well as some reminders about upcoming events and other webinars that are on the horizon. As we're going throughout today, if you have any questions, please feel free to pop those over in the chat box and we'll get to them as we go along. And there'll also be lots of time to unmute and discuss as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Jennifer Leo.
Hello, is everyone able to hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, wonderful. Just checking. So I just wanted to, some of you, I've already made an introduction of myself previously, but I just wanted to, sorry, just one moment. Too many people working from home. So just wanted to give you a little bit of my background and let you know who I am, for those of you who maybe haven't met me yet. So my name is Jennifer Leo. I am a member of the San Carlos Apache tribe. I am just kind of a Southwest girl, so I love the Southwest landscape, and especially that's why I have it in my background right now. So I have a lot of experience working with Title VI programs and also Indian education college access programs and grant and scholarship programs at the college level. I'm very much a proponent of language as a preservation tool and a cultural teaching tool. And so I'm very excited to be working with programs that are Native American language. So that's kind of the short of it. And some of you I have already kind of been corresponding with. Some of you I haven't yet, but I very much want to be able to have an opportunity to work with you just one-on-one and get to know you, because I feel like communication is always better when you have kind of that baseline. So if anyone ever wants to just kind of set up a meeting and kind of meet each other and tell me about your program, I'd be happy to set aside some time. So that's it. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Jennifer. And then I know I've gotten a chance to meet almost all of you virtually and many of you even in person, but just to introduce the rest of our OIE technical assistance team, we have on with us today myself, Sarah Brightwell. I'm the lead for the technical assistance team, as well as Olani Lilly, that I know many of you know from our other events, particularly our distance learning session. And then some other folks that you may see on other events or other emails are Kathleen Bethke and Tracy Madej Kara-George, other members of our team, and Sarah Whitehead, who often sends out some of our scheduling pieces. But I want to spend a little time letting you get to know each other. So just to give a quick little overview before we let you unmute and tell us about your programs and the great things you're doing, is just an idea of some information about all of you overall. So we have 3 grantees that are continuing grantees from earlier cohorts. From our fiscal year 17 group, we have the Lucutareo Ojibwe tribe in Wisconsin and the San Carlos Apache tribe in Arizona that are both continuing on those grants and will be wrapping up their projects this year. And then for fiscal year 18, we have Albuquerque Public Schools in New Mexico, and they're also in their final year of their project. And then we have our new group of our fiscal year 20 grantees. And so as we talk about those, I'm actually going to show you a little bit more information as I start introducing those, but to give you an idea, first of all, of where we are across the US. So you can see we are definitely with this new group starting to branch out the NAL ED program into more states and have great representation across a good array. And then to give a little bit better idea, I'll let y'all kind of peruse this as I introduce those fiscal year 20 groups. So we have the Aleut community of St. Paul Island Tribal Government up in Alaska, and that's a new project this year. And then we have the Anchorage School District, also in Alaska, but over in Anchorage. And that program, it's a new grant this year, but they were part of our fiscal year 17 cohort originally. So they are actually building onto that previous grant. Then we have the Browning School District in Montana, another new program this year. St. Paul Public Schools in Minnesota. See John giving us the wave. The Mescalero Apache School in New Mexico. So joining in with Albuquerque already in New Mexico, as well as the Navajo Preparatory School. And I know Dara's trying to squeeze in at least a little bit of lunchtime as she joins us today. So exactly, that's where we all are. We're all on constant Zoom meetings and trying to find one little moment to squeeze in a snack. And then we have Oneida Nation over in Wisconsin. So also our second Wisconsin program. And then we have Red Cloud Indian School over in South Dakota, and the Shoshone Paiute tribes in Nevada. And then you can see Waduka Dotting in Wisconsin. That is actually the same group that was working on the Locutoreo Ojibwe tribe grant for fiscal year 17, and now taking that project in a new direction with their new grant. And then the Yukon Cook School District in Alaska. And that group also was a fiscal year 17 grantee, and then now has this new grant to build upon that work. So I think it's always nice to kind of get an idea of what everyone is up to. So now that I've done just a little brief intro, I'd love for each of you to actually introduce your program and your team. So I'll kind of call on each project director. If you'll introduce yourself and your team, tell us a little bit about your project, who you're serving, what language you're working with, what age group of students, and just kind of a nice little overview so that we can start getting to know each other. I'm actually going to turn off the slide deck so that it's easier for us to see our faces as we do this, so we can have as close to a little face-to-face as possible. All right, and I'm just going to go in the order that you're showing up on my screen here. So we will kick off actually with John. And yes, John Bobolink, and I'll let you take it away.
Bonjour, Ginawa, John Bobolink, Indigenous Cars, the Zaga Squad, Jamaica, and thanks all Indian education. Okay. Welcome, everybody. Hey, thanks. It's great to be here. And I'm really proud to be a part of a great group of all-stars, language all-stars. So something really special here, and I'm pretty proud of that. In St. Paul Public Schools, we are a large district within Minnesota, a large urban district, I should say. But I'm pretty proud of the fact that in our district, we have been really doing our part to revitalize native languages. And it's not just one language, but the two primary tribes in Minnesota are Ojibwe and Dakota. And so we have been able to piece together a pre-K through 12 course offering. Unfortunately, it's not for the entire district, but we do concentrate that at one of our elementary schools and continued on into one of our high schools. So pretty proud of what we've done so far, but we are a fiscal year 20 grantee, and we're using the NAL grant to really focus in on our Dakota language. We recognize that our Ojibwe track was a little bit further ahead as far as curriculum and assessments and benchmarks, and we're utilizing the NAL grant really to boost up our Dakota language side of that, and looking forward to what we accomplish. Good luck, everybody.
Thank you, John. All right, next we'll head over to Jennifer Irving from Red Cloud.
Hi, Yapi, Jennifer Irving, Amachapi. My name is Jennifer Irving, and I'm actually the director of grants here at Red Cloud. So I help with some of the fundraising pieces. And our project director, his name is Matt Rama. He's actually in the classroom right now. So didn't really want to pull him out I was like, I'll go. So we are working here on the Pine Ridge Reservation located in southwestern South Dakota. We are primarily working with, even though we have Lakota language in K through 12 here at Red Cloud, we're predominantly working with elementary students right now. Currently, we have an immersion track. So we have some students in immersion and then some students that aren't. And so with the NAL funding, we really want to make K through 5 immersion, all immersion, every student, not just a track, not just, some students that want to, but it's just, you come to Red Cloud, you're speaking Lakota from kindergarten to 5th, and then slowly expanding that so that eventually we're immersion K through 12. So that's the goal of Red Cloud overall. So it's really great to be on this call with you all, to learn from so many of you and your approaches and how you're doing it in your community. We feel very honored to be a part of this group and very lucky. And then just to see what all of you are doing has just been really awesome and amazing. And we're just really great to be here. So thankful to be here, and it's great to see all of you.
Thanks, Jennifer. All right, let's head over to Rena Mendez from Mescalero Apache. Oh, you're muted, Rena.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I would like to say I'm the director for the program for the Mescalero Apache schools. We have our school from kindergarten through 12, and we run our language from K through 12. So we're very fortunate to have this program on our reservation, and we have we've been having a hard time with this computer business. I think everybody is. Yeah, and but anyway, we had some struggles, but we have some computer techs that are very caring and assist us with learning skills, and we have training every Monday. I have a computer tech that's assigned to us, to our group, our Apache language group. There's 8 of us all together, and we have a tech that's assigned to us. So every Monday we have tech training. So that really helps us a lot to reach out to the students. And we're very blessed to have been chosen to get the NAL grant. We're thankful, and we have a lot of goals that we are going to aim for, and we're already in the process of having training. We have training already, and we're going to be hiring 6 new assistants. We had our interviews yesterday, so everything looks positive. So we're out to meet those goals. So I'm very thankful to be a part of this, and I'm learning as I watch and listen to the other participants. It's good to hear other people talk about their programs, because it gives you ideas and it helps you to expand on that. And then with them listening to what you have to say, hopefully it'll be helpful to them for their program also. So I would like to congratulate all the people that were chosen. I think we were all blessed. So let's make the best of it and work together. Thank you.
Thanks, Rena. And yeah, you bring up exactly what we hope for these talking circles to do, is give everyone that opportunity to build that community and share amongst each other. All right, let's head over to Dara at Navajo Preparatory.
Hello, everybody. Yat e Dara Tabram Yunishya. My name is Dara Tabram, and I am one of the school administrators at Navajo Preparatory School. My title is Dean of Student and Community Engagement. So I work with our college guidance, I work with our admissions, and I work with our grants. So I kind of spread across many different aspects of the school, but we're a small school. We have about 275 students, grades 9 through 12. We're an international baccalaureate world school. So we offer the international baccalaureate curriculum, which it's kind of, if you know the AP curriculum, it's a similar level of rigor, but it's got a more holistic approach, which integrates with our commitment to Navajo philosophy of learning, and really integrating Navajo culture and language into our students' experience. Our students, I'm excited. I am so excited to be in this group with you all and to share a little bit about our project. In the past 2 years, we have taken steps towards supporting increased language acquisition. Our students take 4 years of Navajo language and culture. So from grade 9 through 12, they're taking coursework. Our residential program is another huge component of our language and culture acquisition. But our big focus right now is we're really excited to start to develop this Dinepazad Center, a Navajo Language and Culture Center. And we imagine it to be kind of a more community-driven space where our students can come in, record their language, their stories, bring in their families. And so our NAL grant award that we're really focusing our budget on is the funding of the position, the Dinepazad director, who's going to be an essential component of our leadership team. And we have some really exciting progress about getting the job description posted, we have a person in place that we're hoping to hire, and then we have a few other funding sources for the center itself. So that's a little bit about our school. My background personally, I'm not from the Navajo Nation. I'm from New Zealand, is where my family's from. But I've been really blessed to live in the Four Corners for the past 10 years. So nice to meet you all.
Thanks, Dara. All right, and then I will let Charlene and Mila kind of duo introduce the Albuquerque Public Schools program.
Keshikot Donlaga Diganal, Hot Milapadia Lechina, Hom Anna de Dakia Kodea Shokut Agwawan Chap. My name is Mila Padilla. I am a Zuni language teacher. I was born and raised in Zuni, and I've been living in the city of Albuquerque for off and on for the past probably 15 years. And I am, this grant has allowed me to teach Zuni language. I was teaching at more like a substitute at the Native American Community Academy, where I also was employed when I was going to school. And we work under Daisy Thompson, who is the Indian Education Department with Albuquerque Public Schools. It's the biggest school district in the state. So we have probably a staff of about maybe 20 people, teachers, and then language teachers. There's about 5 of us, I think. 5, Charlie? Something like that. But me and a cousin brother of mine, Mr. Chimany, we are the Zuni language teachers. So we've been able to, Zuni is the biggest Pueblo population in the state of New Mexico. And this past, I would say 5 years, the current governor of Zuni has allowed for Zuni language to be taught outside Zuni. So we're one of 3 teachers who teach within the city of Albuquerque, and the population of our people keeps growing. And of course, there's no economic stability in the Pueblo Zuni. So a lot of our younger parents are coming out to the city. And so there's a great need for Zuni to be taught, because for some reason or another, our parents are not teaching the language. So this is actually the very first time within the history of APS and the Indian Education Department that our language is being taught to urban Zuni students. So right now I have about, it varies on the days, but I have about 27 to 35 students in grades 2 through 8th. So online learning has been very helpful, and how would you say, I've been able to reach students better online than I have when I was at 5 different schools. So I'm very blessed to have these students, and their parents and their families are always, you know, thankful for that. So I'm really happy to be doing what I'm doing. Thank you. Have a good evening. Charlene can tell you what she does.
Yat e to she yaha sensares ade nasha to tratnesa ninishli do hachini edashache kabaha dashinala do kinlachini dashache ado thank you, Mila, for covering the first part of it, but I'd like to add on to what she said, and then I am grateful to be part of this grant, and it has allowed me to teach the Navajo language within the city of Albuquerque. So, and I know some parents are in need of teachers within the Navajo language, and some of them have been wanting their schools to teach Navajo language. But this year, the virtual learning has opened up the doors to them to where we were able to expand to other schools, to where we had other schools. We were kind of limited to a few schools, but since online learning is taking place, it allowed us to kind of reach other schools, to other students, and those parents that chose for their parents to learn the language, their native language. So, and like Mila said, I have like about 32 students now, and our hours range from like morning, it varies, and then sometimes it runs on to like all the way to 4 p.m. So depending on their schedule. So we're being flexible with them, and then we're open to what works for them, and that's how we're meeting their needs. So and then we do direct instruction and through the online instruction. And at first we started out struggling, but now we're kind of seeing ways on how we can work with the students and what works best for them. But we still encourage the direct instruction so that they're able to see us, and that we're able to communicate with them, and that we are live. And then also we use like apps with Google Meets, Slides, Jamboard, and Google Docs and forms. This year, my goal is to use the forms where I'm going to be assessing them with exit tickets and then quizzes to make sure that they're, this one kind of keeps them online, like they know that they're going to be quizzed. So they have to be practicing their assignments. And I've been posting a lot of videos and coming up with my own instruction too, as a resource for them. And then right now our schools, some of our schools are going back to hybrid. And then whereas some They will still continue to teach online. So we're still flexible, even with our changes within our online. It'll still work for us. For us. So that's what I like to cover.
Thanks, Charlene and Mila.
Mm.
All right, let's head over to Tracy from Oneida Nation.
Sagali, Tracy Williams ni yung gets Honyo Tiaga, Niwago Honjo, Dano, Potahioni, Niwagitalo, Ongwe Humene, Twage, no, Ginu, Wisconsin. I just want to say greetings to everybody. I'm Tracy Williams. I'm the director of the Oneida Nation Language Department. And our NAL grant is primarily for an expansion of our language nest. And we have about 25 3 to 5 year olds in that language nest right now. The language nest is only 3 years old. Up until 3 years ago, we didn't have a functionally fluent enough second language speaker to run an immersion classroom. And we worked tirelessly up until then to have some people trained for that. We don't have any mother tongue speakers in our community. The nearest mother tongue speaker lives over 600 miles away because our original homelands are in now what is the state of New York, and we're one of the farthest Iroquois speaking languages west of New York and southern Ontario. So we don't have any mother tongue speakers left in our community. We have a very fluent second language speaker, and we have another fluent speaker who learned to speak as a youth. And we rely on those two men heavily, and they're both over 55. So it's very important for the goals we have for our NAL grant to build capacity in our teacher training and also increase grade levels for our language nest. We hope to increase at least 2 more grade levels by the end of our grant. And I just want to say Yawanko for this opportunity, and I look forward to networking with everybody over this time that we have together. Y'all.
Thanks, Tracy. All right, we'll head over to Susan Pasfan from Yukon Cook.
Joined Susan Pasfan Suze de Hoon de Naga Halte Gitsusi is ni bezichtig het Anna Aslan Menil Red had het Adamslets of Fairbanks list Native Language Coordinator Aslan. I'm Susan Pasfan, and I'm live in Fairbanks, Alaska. My family is from Koyukuk. We have 10 villages in our school district. One of them shut down because we didn't have enough students. But with the 9 schools that we have left, we teach Native language 25 minutes a day. I know it's not much, but it is a start. And we have in the fall we had 173 students, and then in the spring semester 158. K-8, depending on the school. Our schools are classes are multi-grade. Many of our schools have about 17 to 25 students. So when we teach, well, actually, I should say when I teach, we have 2 languages. We have Danaga, which is Koyukon Athabascan, and that has 3 dialects and then sub-dialects under that. And then we have Benti Kanaga, which is the language of Minto. And both of these, we are teaching them over video conference, and I work with co-teachers out at our schools. I'm not physically there with the students. Before COVID, I used to travel around to all of our schools. And so this semester, we have our students, and I meet with them over video conference. So it's just like this Zoom meeting, and they're used to it. I use sign language, and that helps a lot. Most of our classes are between 2 or 3 classes online at the same time. And with the NAL grant, we were able to publish a workbook both in Denaga and Benti, and that has helped tremendously. Just like we were doing a unit on the animals, and I was just able to tell them what page to go to, and they all went there, and it's written in all the different dialects. And so we were all on the same page. We're using the second part of the grant for professional development. We're creating a lot of online resources, especially with this COVID. And we're going to be working on providing some professional development for our teachers. I call them our co-teachers. They're actually the certified teachers in the classroom, just some language teaching strategies and about the language itself. And it's just nice to see all of you. Snowing up here in Fairbanks. It's not quite lunch yet. You see, good.
Thanks, Susan. And yeah, I'm definitely glad to give you back the snow this week. We had it last week, and Texas was not ready. So I'm passing it back to you happily. All right, next up, we'll head over to Robert from Browning.
Okay. Nisto anok unokai ka just nok tu am skapi pikan nitsita pe kika nitsita putak ma itashkini mats tokyo ta west mats tokato pa ani ni chi bu sen ge ni chi senaksen. Hello, my name is Elk Grove, but nitaya pe chikasim. My colonized name is Robert Hall. I come from the southern Ikani, which people will know as the Blackfeet Reservation here, right along the border of Glacier National Park in Canada, in the United States. And I work at our public schools, where I am the kind of the lead teacher in our language, and also I emphasize also how to write it in a literate form. Our school, we have around 2,800 total students. 98% population are Blackfeet or another indigenous group. So throughout our public schools, they all have a language requirement. They all as an elective, either twice a week, no less. And we actually do, from 6th grade on down, have immersion courses, which the classes are supposed to be split into 50-50, 50 in the colonizer language, 50% in Nitsi. Obviously it probably goes without saying, we do enter a lot of issues just because of the world we live in. But we mainly, again, with this grant, one thing that we're creating is a assessment specialist to help us, because again, we're a small department, and now it's allowing us to grow for 2 years, to have someone to help us design a tool to measure how our students are progressing with their language. And again, with that, we're gonna go back and assess and figure out again how to refine these tools. But also along with that, one thing that our department does is, particularly with COVID, is, as everyone is doing, is we're going online. And one thing that we have done is we go on our local radio too, because sometimes in our rural communities, a lot of people's technology, or they don't have access to internet. So we do our language show on the radio. We do go on YouTube as well. But also another thing that we're focusing on, which this grant is going to aid us, is we do puppets, and we kind of do like a little puppet show, sort of like, again, as a lot of communities are involved, puppets really catch those kids' eyes And it does catch those adults' eyes too. Adults enjoy puppets just as much as kids, especially when it's a content which they really want. So that's a little bit what we're about. Thank you.
Thanks, Robert. I can't wait to see your puppet show. And then I apologize, Leah, I'm not sure exactly which grantee you're from. So if you can unmute and introduce, we'll let you take it away.
Okay, I'm working with Robert in the in the Blackfeet immersion program, and I'm the one that wrote the proposal. And so just to kind of let you know, I know Robert shared a lot with you, but we have 18 teachers that we're working with. We have 9 immersion teachers, and so our challenge, just like all of you, has been the online platforms and how to best get the information out to our students. I did walkthroughs this week, and I can say that I was just amazed at what our teachers are doing for our students, and just the amount of information that they're able to share with our students is pretty good. So I just look forward to offering some professional development courses and pieces for our instructors. So thank you.
Yeah.
Good to see you all.
All right. Well, thank you all for sharing. It's always, like I said, so great to be able to hear what's going on. And I just think it's particularly helpful as we have these first few talking circles to do these introductions so we can all start getting to know each other and the various programs. So thank you. And we'll definitely continue to do these shares, both in general and on specific topics. And I'll give you some ideas of how we can do that in the future that I'd love your feedback on. But I am going to jump back in because we had a couple of reminders and things that we wanted to talk about. Although the PowerPoint has decided it wants to jump to talking about upcoming events, and it's not time for that. So one reminder we wanted to give was in regards to your indirect cost rate. All of the project directors should have received an email requesting that they update the indirect cost rate documentation. So if you are not the project director and your project director is not on, if you could pass along the reminder, and if you are the project director, you'll know whether you've responded to this or not. But Jennifer has sent out that request for you to update your indirect cost rate documentation. So even if you know, I know my stuff is up to date, please do still respond to that and either provide that documentation or engage in that discussion about what you feel like has already been submitted, just so that everybody can be completely up to date, particularly as we head into reporting season and then continuation award season. The other reminder is that we want to talk about annual performance reporting. And so I know many of you were on our annual performance reporting webinar yesterday. And so just a reminder that your annual performance report for all of your grants, it doesn't matter what cohort you're in, it's going to be due on May 3rd. And I'll have Alani do me a favor and pop that in the chat box as well, May 3rd. And at the end today, when we talk about upcoming events, I'll make sure that all of you have gotten the invite to our webinar to discuss the APR reporting. That's going to be on May 8th. But at the end, we'll go over the dates and times for that and make sure all of you have the calendar invite for that. Now, we talked a bit about what's happening in your project already, so I'm going to skip ahead one and then loop back here as we go through, because we did such great updates during our introduction. And so I want to make sure that we give you all the updated information and then come back and do a little bit more share. So one of the ways that we want to be able to share in between times, because we do these talking circles once a month, but there's still lots of things that pop up in between these. And we want to provide a platform for you to be able to continue this discussion even outside of these 1-hour monthly sessions. So we have created what's called a Padlet. The easiest way to think of the Padlet is just an online discussion board. You can post on there questions, comments, links, really anything that you could post on a discussion board or on social media, it has all of those same options. So as you look at the one that we have here, some of the questions that we've already posted up that we're curious about are, where can we go to learn more about your program? So all of you shared some different tidbits today, things where you're doing recordings, or you're putting out radio shows, or you're putting out YouTube programs, or you have a great Facebook page. We would love to see those, not just myself, but also all of your peer programs. And that's a way that we can continue to share. So if you could post up there the link to those things, or maybe you have a great brochure that you've created that could serve as an example for your peers. This is a great place to go and be able to both share those as well as check back to it and be able to check out your fellow programs information. The second question we had up was in regards to assessing student language progress and proficiency. So those who were able to join us for our January Talking Circle, we had discussed your GEPRA measures, those things that you will be required to report on in your annual performance reporting, and how for both Measure 1 and Measure 2, you're expected to report about a pre and post assessment of your native language. And for number 1, you're reporting specifically on how they are attaining proficiency. Whereas for Measure 2, you're reporting on how students are making progress. So Measure 1 is your proficiency report. Measure 2 is your progress report. And we talked about in that what proficiency means and what progress means is up to you and your team to determine. So there's nothing from OIE coming out saying you have to do XYZ to prove you're proficient, or you have to make this much percentile point increase to show you're making progress. You and your team get to work together to determine what proficiency and progress mean to you. By the same token, you get to come together and determine what the best assessment method will be. Now, I know that can sometimes be challenging to make those decisions about what progress and proficiency can be, what assessment to use. Many of you through your grant project are developing assessments. So we'll definitely talk about this a bit more in the APR webinar, as well as you're welcome to reach out to our team. And we are happy to work with you on having those discussions and help facilitate some of that as you work on that as a group. So I'll again kind of point out our contact info at the end. We're happy to help with any of that as well. So in that vein, that's where we're asking here, how are you assessing your students' language progress and proficiency? Because we're all in that same boat where we're trying to figure that out. And so it can be really helpful to know how each of us are going about that process as we try to make those determinations. That's also a spot you can ask questions about progress and proficiency and assessment. Then the next question had to do with trainings and professional development. So the vast majority of your grant proposals included some staff development. And for many of you, that was a big part of your proposal. And so we really wanted to be able to share that information, because I think many programs are always looking at what's working well somewhere else for professional development, not specifically necessarily for the exact same language, because most of you are addressing different languages, but for instructional strategies. So anything that you can share there about conferences or maybe online webinars that you found beneficial, anything like that, I think is really helpful to be able to share out with each other. Then this next piece here is, what topics would you like to see included in your future talking circles? So as we think about the future talking circles, we really want this, like I said, to be a time for you all to share and brainstorm and network. So if there's a topic that you would love to have some more discussion around with your peer group here, let us know. Pop that in there so that as we're preparing our upcoming talking circle sessions, we can include those topics and provide some dedicated time to really talk about that as a group. And then the final area here is just for any questions. If there are other things that you think they don't really fit in one of those topics, but I would love to get some feedback, whether it be from your peers or from the TA team. Feel free to post those up there. You can even, if you want to start a whole new thread, you're welcome to add a column yourself and start encouraging everyone to chime in on a topic of your selection. We really want the board, like I said, to work for all of you and be a place for you to share. So joining in there on any of those pieces. All right. And then the other piece I want to share about are some of those upcoming webinars. So we already talked about sharing on that NAL ED Padlet, and I'll give you the link to that to be able to do that. But we have some upcoming webinars that I think might be of interest to you as well. So of particular pertinence, definitely mark your calendars, is the March 8th APR webinar, where we're going to be going through exactly how to do great annual performance reports for this year. So I've already sent out that calendar invite last night. So if you did not receive a calendar invite for that webinar on March 8th, please let me know in the chat box so I can make sure and get that to you, because that did go out yesterday evening. The next one is just a reminder about our next upcoming Talking Circle session, which is on March 25th at 3 Eastern. We're keeping those pretty consistent, doing the 4th Thursday of every month. And then the other is our ongoing series, our distance learning series. So I know some of you have been tuning in with Olani and Tracy as they've been delivering these great distance learning sessions. We just had one on Tuesday about collaborating online with your students and staff. And in March, we're going to be doing audio and video recording on March 9th. And then on March 23rd, we're going to be talking about virtual assessment. So those are going to continue through the end of the school year. They are recorded, so if you missed a past session, don't worry. We have all those recordings available for you. You can watch them Netflix style at your leisure. And then my last plug is for our March OIE office hours. We actually just had our February one earlier today, so you're always welcome to join us on those office hours. That is our casual session. So we get together once a month. We provide that hour for people to be able to pop in and out, ask questions, and have discussion with the OIE staff team and TA team. So the next one we'll be having will be on February 25th from 1 to 2 Eastern for that as well. Remember, any of these sessions are open to your entire team. So don't feel like you have to be the specific one who received the invite in order to come. Particularly like with the distance learning series, we've been having lots of folks who invite their teachers or contractors. That's totally fine. You are always welcome to share these opportunities with your full project team. They're for everyone. And then the other one that I want to make sure you have on your calendar is our project director meeting, which is coming up on April 20th to 22nd. That's a Tuesday to Thursday. And it's going to be from 1 to 6:15 Eastern each day. So that'll be each afternoon Eastern time. So for some of you still in the morning a bit. And we'll have a variety of sessions for you to be able to choose from. And I think you'll really enjoy. We've got some great speakers coming, some great grantees who will be sharing things going on in their programs. So it'll really be a jam-packed 3 days. For you project directors, remember that the registration is going to go out directly to you, and you are able to, for each of your grants, bring a team of 3, including yourself. So be thinking about who the right people will be to include in that project director meeting. We really encourage you to think about who are some of your instructional leaders. Maybe you have a program coordinator, program manager, an instructional lead, teacher, something like that. Also, if you work with an evaluator, that could be a great person to bring. And we'll also even have some sessions for fiscal staff. So lots of different learning opportunities there. That should have that registration going out in probably the next 1 to 2 weeks. So be looking for that in your email box. And I know a few of you, we are nearing time and you may have to hop. So I do, before you run away, just want to pop up our end of event poll as we continue talking. And that way, if you don't mind fast fingering in a little answer there as we continue our discussion. And I'll also share our contact information. And yeah, for those who've shared some information in the chat box, I'll go ahead and transfer that over to the Padlet for you as well. And then we can keep sharing that information there too. So thank you. Any other questions? I want to make sure we get any of your questions in. Mila, yes.
I'm kind of lost. So you guys have new staff, or I'm seeing new people, not the grantees, but like Miss from San Carlos.
Yes, so Jennifer Leo is your new program officer. So for those who are returning grantees and might have been looking for Angela or Tanya, Angela has gone back to managing her professional development program grantees. She is still there at the Office of Indian Ed. Just they've actually been able to completely fill out the staff now. And so Jennifer Leo is your new program officer and will be with you throughout the year consistently. So we're really happy to have her focused on the NAL ED program and working with all of you. And then the other new person for those who are returning grantees is Olani, who is new to our OIETA team staff. And she is our new addition to the crew from Hawaii. So always beaming in nice and sunny.
Aloha.
All right. Well, I appreciate you taking part in that little poll. We did record the session. I know some of you had folks from your team who weren't able to join live. So don't worry, we will share that recording with you. I'll send that out along with the link for the Padlet and the link to register for that distance learning series for anyone who's interested in that piece as well. And then just to take note, as I said, if any of you would like to talk through whether it's the assessment piece or you have other questions coming up, you're welcome to email the technical assistance team at that oie@seiservices.com. Or if you want to take Jennifer up on her offer to have a chat about your program, you'll see her email is here. It's diana.leo@ed.gov. And then with that, I think we've run through everyone's questions right now. So we'll stay on for just a couple more minutes for any final questions. But for those who do need to hop to other, probably Zoom meetings, thank you for joining us and have a wonderful rest of your Thursday. Bye, everyone.